I really want to thank folks for joining us this morning for a whole host of reasons. I'm also very privileged this morning to actually serve as the MC. We're going to take you all on a little story today, one that we are not just so proud of, but everyone that's going to have this experience today is going to leave, I think, excited, proud, but most importantly, I hope energized for the work that we're going to continue. Today is marking an important moment not just for HomeRise, not just for the city of San Francisco, but really as we want to tackle homelessness. We, for 30 years, have known permanent supportive housing is the solution. We've also spent 30 years building staff, building systems, building and supplying resources so that people can not only secure housing, but become self-sufficient. And so we're so fortunate that this is another shining example, but also you're going to learn about why Jazzie Collins, who Jazzie Collins is, and what she's been to the city of San Francisco. And so I'm so excited to first start by introducing our CEO, Rick Aubrey, for a brief introduction, and most importantly, some framing of who we are and where we're going. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gerald. And as you can hear, there's a BART train going underneath us as we speak. One of the many obstacles that these amazing teams overcame over the last several years to get this building built. So, as Gerald mentioned, I am the CEO of HomeRise here, Rick Aubrey, if I haven't had a chance to meet you. And this project took, as all projects do in San Francisco, a lot of people working very hard for a very long time to get this done. So many folks here that I'm going to make a point of recognizing. Some folks I want to particularly mention because this project has been many years in the making. Michael Cohen, who has been our great partner since day one with Strata. This was a public-private partnership that people said couldn't be done. Oh, it doesn't work. This is not how things happen in San Francisco. But thanks to Strata and Michael's efforts, here it is. This is part, as you can see, of a much larger project that's going on, but they were very committed to the work that we do at HomeRise, that permanent supportive housing has to be a part of any new construction that occurs in the city, and they really championed the work with the Board of Supervisors, with 2 different mayors to make sure that this would happen. Some of those early conversations, which predated me, were with my predecessor, Gail Gilman, who is here today. As an institution, HomeRise is more than any one of us, but it took the generation before me to be able to imagine this, to work with Michael, to work with the city, to work with all of our partners. We're very grateful for the work that Gail made that happen. The housing development of this project required many people to make this done. While there's a great team, you met Gerald, who's part of the leadership of the team now, Serena Calloway, who is here now, and she also helped carry the ball forward. I remember the very first day that I got here when this wasn't even a hole in the ground and we were gnashing teeth about, is this actually going to happen? How do we make this happen? We had to deal with the fact that there was a pandemic that hit us just a few months after we started, and nobody wanted to lend to projects like this. Nobody wanted to provide financing to it. Serena led the efforts to just make it happen, and here we are. Importantly, and a little bit of a plug for HomeRise, not only are we here, but we're here ahead of schedule. This is unprecedented in San Francisco, ahead of budget, a tribute to all of the generations of people who worked on this project to make it move forward. It takes a lot of money to make a project like this work, as you can imagine. If I leave anybody out, my apologies, but huge thanks to the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development for being an early, earnest, and steadfast partner. Again, we hit that pandemic thing. I think we all recall what that was. And all of a sudden, everything looked like it was going to shut down. And we had this dilemma. Well, do we just sit and wait a year and not do anything? But the mayor's office said, no, we got to move forward with this. We're your partners. We're in it. We'll figure out with you what it takes to finance this. If it's going to take unusual things, if it's going to take us stretching what we normally do, we're going to keep this moving forward. And they did. And here we are, done, ahead of schedule. Thank you to the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development. Lots of other folks are funding this as well. So one of the great things about being on this site is this is a great union town, and this is a union site. And one of our essential partners in this has been the AFL-CIO and their investment team, and they are a core part of this. So we are so proud to be a union shop ourselves. Even more proud to be partnering with the AFL-CIO to build housing for folks who are being pushed out of the city and making this a possibility. We have funding from Merchants Capital, a bank that's essential to make this work. As you all know, in order to do this kind of work, you need a tax credit investor, and enterprise community partners stood up and stood with us even during all of those tumultuous times during the pandemic. We also have, of course, a great partnership with the state, and the California Department of Housing and Community Development is also core to making this work. Unusually, for a project like this, we also have a significant private foundation that when things were looking somewhat dire about could we get across the finish line, would we have enough money to make it work, the Harry Weinberg Foundation stood up, said, you know what, the work you do is essential. Permanent supportive housing is the solution. It's unusual for a private foundation to provide capital, but we're going to do it, and they did at a very significant level. So thank you to the Weinberg Foundation. Also, early funding came in from the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco, so we're grateful for that. Let me also talk about the people who actually did the work. So first and foremost, the workers on this project. Some of us show up at the groundbreaking, and at the ribbon cutting, but every day, all of the workers from Suffolk Construction were here. Rain and shine, whatever it took to get this done, they were here. They built this amazing building. We are so grateful to the union workers of Suffolk who made this project so. And again, it's both a beautiful building, you'll get a chance to see it, but again, early. When do you get to say that in California? When do you get to say that in San Francisco? This project came in earlier than promised, so that's a great thing. And UA Local 38, of course, was a great partner in this. Larry Mazzola is here. This is their site. They could have done many different things with this project. They were really committed to what we are doing here, and we're so grateful, Larry, to all of the brothers and sisters that you represent. So thank you so much for that. And I would be remiss if I didn't also mention that we were very privileged and fortunate that Jazzie Collins and the friends and family of Jazzie Collins is what's going to be on the door here. So most of you in this audience know that Jazzie Collins was a fierce advocate for the kind of work that we do throughout the city, was a first in so many ways in the city in terms of advocating for people who were not getting the respect that they needed. And we were so happy that we were able to include Jazzie in this permanent testimony to her long work that she did in defense of and in support of and in fierce advocacy for the people in the city that we will now be able to serve in this building. So, she devoted a lifetime to it. She did this work. We're so grateful for that. Let me turn the platform over, if I might, back to you, Gerald. Many more folks that you're going to hear from. Let me just briefly mention that we do have 3 of our board members from HomeRise. Board members, 4. I'm sorry, I missed. We have 4 board members from HomeRise. Thank you very much for that. Board members are an essential fabric of all nonprofits in this city. They work tirelessly. They make sure that the work gets done. They're here for the right reasons, for the core mission of the organization. They make sure we stay true to what we're trying to achieve. So Sheila, David, Jutaporn, and Deborah, I'm so grateful that you were able to be here today. I'm so grateful that constantly you're keeping us true to what we signed up for and really give us the guidance to make sure we do the work that we need to do. So, if I might, back to you, Gerald.
Thank you so much. All right, y'all ready for the first part of the story about Jazzie? All right. Many of you know, and I think many of you are familiar with Jazzie's place. But many of you may not be familiar with the intricacies, the importance of her story. Jazzie wasn't someone at 13 years old just knew that she was going to be this amazing advocate. In fact, she was, in her late 30s going into her 40s when she realized, and most importantly, had the life experience that told her she needed to move. She needed to move effectively. She needed to move expeditiously. And I'm really glad to bring up a partner who really embodied that same sentiment, and that's Strata. As so much of what you see around you, you heard it delivered on time, it delivered on budget. Those are things that Jazzie believed in. She believed that you had to step up, you had to be there, you had to make a way out of no way. Now, I'm not going to say we made a way out of no way because Strata's team does this all over this Bay Area, but they did it with us. And they did it knowing the impact. They did it knowing that this is the type of development that permanent supportive housing can live within. Both the fiscal impact, the jobs that are created, but most importantly, let's not forget the convenience. Bart's right here. Think about the access that affords anyone in this community. And so we're grateful that they partnered with us. I know that Michael's going to join us quickly, but I want to thank you, William. I know Sydney is out here somewhere. The entire team over at Strata, thank you so much for keeping us humble, keeping us focused, and making sure we delivered on time. Michael, please.
Thank you, Gerald. It's nice every once in a while to be overcome with feeling proud about something. And I think Gerald said that at the beginning. This is a day for a lot of us to be really proud. And there's two things that I'm most proud of about this project. The first is we've been checking, but I think this is the only supportive housing project for formerly homeless individuals that's been built on private property as part of a market rate development, not just in San Francisco's history, but we haven't been able to find an example like this anywhere in the state of California. And it's really quite awesome. And as you heard from Gerald, and I'm sure you're going to hear more of, it takes an incredibly collaborative effort to make something like this work. And you've heard all the financial people who were integral related to the support of this effort. I do want to shout out, and there's a bunch of them here. Building a project like this on time and on budget in a pandemic is really hard. And I want to thank, we had great partnership from the city. I think I saw Rich Sucre somewhere in the planning department, and Topier, Judson True, and his entire team. I was talking to Robin a little bit earlier, and it's not one thing, but it's over and over again, there's a problem that if it's not going to be solved, is going to end up causing delay. It's going to cause budgets to spiral out of control. And having the city as a partner was incredibly important. It's also, to me, people have been asking, how did you guys do this at this price? We started November 2020. We had an aggressive budget, an aggressive schedule. And if nothing else, it's testament to when you have really smart people, you put them in a position to succeed, and they work their butts off. And I really want to shout out to Will, to Nick, to Sydney, to Steve, to Lee, to Clark, to everybody on the Strata team. I mean, there's a huge amount of resources. I think we had more people working on this building than we did on these three other buildings. And you know what? It's worth it because this project is good for the city. It's great for this neighborhood. And hundreds and hundreds of people's lives are going to be better because of this project. The second thing I'm immensely proud of is the fact that on time, on budget, during a pandemic, supply chain collapse, And we did this project, and I think you heard Gerald allude to it earlier, with 100% union labor. And and I hear it a lot, people say to you, you can't do it that way. You can't make this budget. You can't make this schedule with a 100% union job. You can tell them that they're wrong because we're living proof of it. So thank you.
Such a great segue into another really important speaker, an impact on us. And I'm looking over at Anat, who is my colleague in housing, who is negotiating our union labor agreement right now. We are so proud of the union staff members who make up HomeRise. They're our front line. They are the reasons that not only does the brick and mortars impact lives, but the services, the impact, being there and consistently is one of the hallmarks of not just permanent supportive housing, but our 30 years of making sure that families not just get housed, they stay housed, they get better, they achieve self-sufficiency. But all part of that, and our own union labor was very much complemented by what we see around here. I'm excited to have Larry come up and really talk about really the impact of not just union labor on this project, but our longstanding commitment. Larry, thank you.
Thank you. Larry Mazzola, business manager of the Plumbers Union, Local 38, and president of the San Francisco Building Trades Council. Thank you all for being here today. This is an exciting day. This is a proud day for us. You know, you guys, it takes a lot of smart people to build a building like this. I figured you guys would have done an EIR for this event and had some sunlight right here, but you screwed that up. Anyways, I just want to say how proud I am and Local 38 is of this development. And, you know, it's a long time coming. When this property was bought in 1947, my grandfather, Joe Mazzola, had a vision of something like this, but I think he would even be surprised with this part of it, 53 Colton. You know, we've done a lot of progressive things in Local 38. We've helped the community out time and time again, every chance we get. We have golf tournaments that we like to give money to when we raise money for charities. And we like to keep it local and do things for the citizens of San Francisco. We've given to the LA Hill Hutch Center. We've given to a lot of places in San Francisco that helps our kids thrive. But I think this one is probably the most important and exciting and most proud one that we've done in partnership with Strata to build supportive housing for homeless people and low-income people that are going to have a permanent home. And we couldn't be more proud to be partners with Strata and Suffolk. I can't say enough about Suffolk and Strata. They're a great team with us. And we got to this point, and like Michael said, and everybody said, I mean, to have a job like this come in under budget, under the time frame, ahead of schedule, that was built 100% union, and we didn't do it with modular housing. And someone came to me early on and said, you need to build this modular, it's not going to work. And I said, 100% no, because it can happen on site and it will be built better. And look at it. This is a beautiful building, and it's been done with 100% union labor. So if any developer or anybody's out there saying it can't be done, bullshit. I just want to thank all the workers. They've already been thanked, but enough credit can't go to them because this doesn't happen with them. And this is the proof that skilled labor, what they can do. And I'm proud of each and every one of the members that worked on here from all the different crafts. And I want to thank them for their stand-up, working through the pandemic. And this job actually kept a lot of members working, like Michael said. During the pandemic, there was no other job that started when the pandemic hit. This job started, and it's finished, and it's a beautiful building, and we really appreciate the partnerships that we've had, the AFL-CIO, all the people that were involved in this. So I just want to say from our union as a partner with Strata, thank you, and we look forward to, and we are proud of this commitment, and we can't wait to see it come to fruition when everybody's moved in. So thank you.
in the fall, we were at the Richardson Apartments, and the HUD Secretary Fudge was with us. The bark's going by, as y'all can hear it, great sight. And Secretary Fudge was with us, and we were up on the roof, and I pointed over and I said, in a few months, we're going to be opening a new building. And who I didn't know was standing behind me was the mayor. And in that time and in that space, I realized something that's important. And I really hope that everyone understands why Jazzie Collins, why this legacy. I don't know if anyone put this together yet, but today we have a vice president who is a black woman from the Bay Area. We have Secretary Fudge, which is a black woman. We have a mayor who is a black woman. We have a black woman at HSH. I want to highlight the fact that that's progress. That's what Jazzie was talking about. That's that advocacy. That's that glass ceiling. That's that path that she's created for us. But so grateful are we that we have a mayor who's blazing that trail, keeping it moving, delivering over 1,500 units of permanent supportive housing, and the economic impact that each one of these jobs creates, supports, and retains. I'm grateful that today, not only do we get to acknowledge the legacy and the progression that came with Jazzie Collins, we also have a mayor that's going to keep pushing us forward. Please welcome the Honorable Mayor Breed.
Thank you, Jerome, and thank you to Home Rise, and thank you to Strata and Local 38. It's good to be here with each and every one of you to celebrate Jazzie Collins Apartments, an apartment complex that truly does represent Jazzie Collins and her legacy and what she fought for here in San Francisco for so long. And, you know, let me just take us back just a tad bit, because when Mazzola and I were kids growing up in San Francisco, even though I know he looks a lot older than I am, we're basically the same age. We grew up in a city where it had its challenges, but we saw a lot of possibilities. We saw the possibility for a better life, a better opportunity. And we, in fact, you know, I'll be honest, you know, homelessness even existed back then, but it wasn't as problematic as it seems to be because, you know, as someone who grew up in public housing, as someone who grew up around a lot of affordable housing developments, one of the things that even through our challenges of poverty and unfortunately sometimes substance use disorder, there was still an opportunity to access housing in some capacity. The people who built this city lived in this city. The people who worked in this city for the city and county of San Francisco lived in this city. The people who started businesses in this city lived in this city. And over the years, something has changed. We can point to a number of challenges that have made things difficult for us to continue to move forward as aggressively as we should to build housing and who accesses that housing. We can talk about the challenges of those things, but today we have a real solution. We have a real opportunity. We know what happens when we come together and we put aside our differences and we focus on what needs to be done. And specifically in my homeless recovery plan, we've already, as we committed, built 1,000 units of permanently supportive housing with about 1,500 we built, and we got about 1,000 more in the pipeline. And these 96 units that are for people who struggle with homelessness. This is a game changer. Whenever we provide an opportunity like this without the layers of bureaucracy that make it difficult for people to access housing, we make a difference in San Francisco. And when we have partners who believe in this, because this land, all of this, is a legacy of the Plumbers Union with Mazzola Jr.'s grandfather, who we know a park will be named for him that people in this city can enjoy. The fact that he was willing to work with this city and to partner to do something to give back to the city that he loves is significant. This place is born out of working together, out of a relationship, out of really trying to combat some of the real challenges that exist in San Francisco. This is what happens when we put aside our differences and we make something happen for the people here in San Francisco. So yes, I know we have our problems, and I see former Supervisor Jane Kim here. Thank you so much for your work in helping to get this project done in our city, because it did take a village to get us here. But it's also going to take that village to continue to stay together to get us even further, until not one person is sleeping out on the streets of San Francisco, until not one family is sleeping out on the streets of San Francisco, until we do a better job to address the challenges and the disparities in access to this housing for the people that we know needed the most. That really represents San Francisco values at its best. And today, as we celebrate, I truly want to thank our partners who make it possible to do extraordinary work like this. And my favorite thing of any project, and I believe this is probably the first project that I even saw it in my notes, and I had to read it again because I couldn't believe it, Mazzola. On time and under budget. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you, Your Honor. As always, we're privileged to be a part of the solution and moving things forward. I want one more guess. As Rick had pointed out, not only does it take money, it takes money to not do it once, but again and again. And we've got a unique partner that I'm going to introduce very quickly in Merchants Capital, who not only has stood and supported this project, but we're going to put another 58 units in rehab in partnership and keep this momentum going. We are serious about this solution, but we're also serious about the partners that make it happen every day. Lee.
Good afternoon. My name's Lee Oller, and I'm the Executive Vice President of Merchants Capital. Merchants Capital is out of Carmel, Indiana, and I run the Chicago office. This was such a collaboration working on this project together. It started in the middle of a pandemic. You had forest fires, people were exiting the city. We never met a single person until this grand opening. I'm meeting everybody for the first time because I met you all over Zoom. We spent months together, months collaborating. And so I just have to take a couple minutes here to thank a couple people, and that this Merchants Capital is in partnership with the AFL-CIO Housing Investment Trust. I've worked with the Housing Investment Trust for almost 30 years, and any time that my bank and the Housing Investment Trust can partner together to create housing, affordable housing with 100% union labor, I'm on board. It takes a lot of extra effort, but it's well worth it, and as you can see, this 96 units is beautiful. At Merchants Capital, affordable housing is not a secondary line of business. It's not an afterthought. We're the third largest affordable housing lender in the country, and we're so excited to be a part of Jazzie Collins. Again, I want to give a special thanks to my partners in the AFL Housing Investment Trust, but also to the skilled union labor workers. Without the general contractor of Suffolk Construction, we'd still be looking at blueprints today. So to wrap it up, I just want to say how proud I am to be a part of this from Merchants Capital, and to celebrate the successful completion of Jazzie Collins Apartments. It's life-changing benefits that'll bring and house people, and that's what's important to the city of San Francisco. Thank you so much.
All right, we all learned a little bit about how and why we're here. Now let's go see this building. We're going to thank you. We're going to do this in hopefully a way in which everyone really does get to see what does it really mean to be a part of a 500-unit, mixed-use, multi-stage development. I want you to go in and feel our building. I want you to know what we're proud of and really what we are now setting as a standard. I would love for folks to please join the mayor downstairs. We are going to unveil the heart of this building. I'm going to talk about Jazzie downstairs. I'm going to have, not join us from Dolores Street to talk about Jazzie's Place. We will also have HSH join us, and I've also seen Mosi D show up. And so we're really grateful for everyone to be here. Please join us downstairs as we do a quick cutting of the ribbon. Then we're going to get into property tours and then lunch. Again, thanks everybody. One more part of the program downstairs.
My name is Anat Leonard-Wookie, and I'm the Vice President of Programs at HomeRise. I hold the distinct honor of both being a staff member at HomeRise, but also a board member at Dolores Street Community Services. And it really just all comes together in this beautiful moment where both organizations have recognized and honored Jazzie Collins, her advocacy, her impact on the community, and her support of LGBTQ, seniors, and other San Franciscans. It's exciting to be able to honor this space and recognize the services that both HomeRise and Dolores Street offer to the San Francisco community. At HomeRise, we work with our residents to increase their self-sufficiency once they're in housing, to heal from the trauma of their homelessness experiences, to rebuild community and connection with each other within the building and within the broader neighborhood. I believe that this really speaks to the heart of Jazzie Collins' hopes and passions and efforts, and that we as both Dolores Street and HomeRise can continue working in that same step. So at this point, I think we are ready to officially do the unveiling.
All right. You gonna help me? All right.
Kevin, keep it pulled from that side. The mirror pull.
All right, you want to take it this way? Yeah. All right, 5, 4, 3,